We have many decisions to make in life. And those decisions aren't the easiest to come across. We don't know which one's good and we don't know which one's bad. And most times it's not just, two choices. A lot of times it's like a fork in the road with, 5 prongs, where 4 of those prongs, 4 of those paths are full of stress and anxiety and frustration and pain. And then the one path is pretty much a straight line to success or to happiness or whatever we're looking for at the time. The problem is those 4 paths that are full of pain and stress are always the ones that look the most appealing, because they have our bodily desires in them. We choose those paths because that's what, looks like the best path to us. And we're not really truly reaching out and trying to understand what is, long-term best for us. That's a short-term fix. That path over there is the fun little, it's good for the day. It's cool for the day, but then you pay for it, weeks and weeks and months, possibly years down the road. You never know which path is truly the right one. And so, for me, I've made a lot of bad decisions, and one of them has been to look in the mirror and not like the person that I was. And because I didn't like the person that I was, I had a hard time with, truly caring about anybody else. Sure, it looks like, you follow on Facebook and social media and stuff, and you look like, JR's posting scripture and all this stuff, which is true. I mean, I do really care about that, and I do really truly care about people in that aspect. But for the longest time, I went through a transformation. I went from a person who was cocky, super confident, didn't care, what I looked like. I didn't care that I was, 50 pounds heavier back then. I didn't care about that, but I had a lot better time. I was happier. I was meeting people that I actually truly cared about. My life changed for the better when I was in that state of mind, and it brought me my son, and it made life better at that time. But then over that time, a few years after, it shifted to where, I was caring only about myself and my wants, my needs, and I was still caring about other people, of course, but it was mostly focused on myself. It took me a long time to realize that was how I should be, because then I transformed into the person of not caring about myself anymore and trying to only care about all the other people around me. And that was working against me, because it made me sacrifice my wants, my desires, my needs to give it up for other people's wants and needs and desires. And you're going to look at that and you're going to be like, well, that's being a good Christian. That's what you're supposed to do. Well, no, because you're not truly caring about those people then. You're not truly just doing that. You're not actually making them happy, by buying people things or doing things for people. That's not necessarily making people happy. You've got to be happy with yourself in order to even make anybody else happy. So I look around and it's like, probably a year ago now, I look back and I'm seeing the people around me and I'm like, why does it seem like everything is so negative? Everybody is so dark, and then I look myself in the mirror 3 months ago now. I'm looking myself in the mirror and I'm like, dude, who are you? Like, what happened to that guy who you walked into a bowling center and your chin was held high. You didn't care what anybody thought. You walked in, you didn't look, you weren't looking around to see what everybody was looking at. Like it didn't matter, and then all of a sudden, I take a job that tells me they don't want me to be the person I was anymore and they wanted to change me. That caused some problems. And I think that's kind of where it started. And I let it affect me. I let it affect how I treated people. I let it affect how I treated myself. And so 3 months ago, I made the conscious decision to look in the mirror and say, dude, this has got to stop. Like you've done enough for people, and you can't do any more for anybody until you start doing things for yourself. So you need to hit the gym. You need to read the books. You need to dig your nose into the Bible. You need to, go get a camper. You need to go get a fishing boat. Like, you need to go do the things that you want to do. You need to be the person that you want to be and stop giving everything up for everybody else. Because at the end of the day, after you've given everything up to try to make everybody else happy, you're miserable. And if you're miserable, who wants to be around you? You don't even want to be around yourself when you're miserable. You just want to sit and mope and look at the TV and do nothing. That's how I was. I get it. I understand. And if you're in this state of mind, get the hell up. Like, honestly, you've got to move. You've got to get moving. It took me a while to figure it out. You know, I was looking at people and watching them, and, you know, it seems like they're spending all their time on themselves. And it's like, why are you, like, you're so selfish sitting there constantly. All you're doing is working out, and all you're doing is going out and having fun. Because nobody wants to be around somebody who doesn't want to have fun, who doesn't want to do things, who doesn't want to be happy with themselves, who isn't going to look in the mirror and say, I love this person. You know, now I can look in the mirror and I can say, dude, we got this. Like, we're doing the things we want. You know, we're going to the dentist, we're fixing the teeth, we've got the, you know, the things going on there that you didn't like. You're fixing the things you didn't like. You're going to the gym. You know, you're focusing on the things that you are not happy with. And now all of a sudden you're getting people coming around that are just like, what happened to you? Like, you're a completely different person. Like, you are, in a good way, you know? And so now you used to, I used to walk through places and it almost seemed like when I'd walk by somebody, they'd like put their head down and just kind of look away. And I'd always be like, am I intimidating? Like, what's the deal here? Why are people, like, they won't look at me? And it's because I'm walking around looking miserable myself. Now, when I'm walking around and I'm looking up and everybody's smiling. Now everybody's looking at me smiling. What in the world is going on? Now all of a sudden I'm walking through stores, I'm walking into bowling centers, and everybody's looking at me, and I've got everybody going out of their way to come say hi and, you know, hey man, we appreciate your videos and everything you're doing, and, you know, you've seemed really happy in the last couple of videos. I love the way, you know, you're talking in these videos now. And it's like, I go back and I listen to some of them over a year ago, and I'm just like, who is that guy? Like, how in the world, what was I doing? Like, how, I wasn't having fun. I wasn't doing anything that I wanted to do. You know, it's eye-opening now. People are just looking, now that I look in the mirror and I can smile and look at myself and think, this is somebody I like. This is somebody I'm going to continue to grow, somebody I'm going to continue to make better. All of a sudden I'm bowling better. My career is getting better. My videos are getting better. The people around me are getting better. Everybody's smiling. Now everything doesn't seem so dark. Like, it's just, you've got to, the whole point of this whole thing is you've got to make choices. You've got to make good choices for yourself. I understand wanting to make people happy. I understand wanting to, you know, do things for people. I do too, and I'm going to continue to do things for people. I'm going to help all the people I love. But at the same time, you have to take just as much time, or maybe even a little bit more, and put it into yourself. Focus on your desires. Focus on, you know, your career path, the things that you want to do. You can still help other people, but you've got to make sure you're taking care of yourself first.